Hey everybody, welcome back. Here's a quick lesson on diminished, how to use it, how to approach it, how to understand it better as a musician. For diminished, we have two main chords. We have the diminished triad, which is just a 3-note chord with the formula of a root, a minor third, and a flat 5. Right? And then we have the diminished 7th chord, which is the same diminished triad, but with the added double flat 7, or also called diminished 7th. So we get that sound. And one of the best things, I think people are obviously more familiar with this type of fully diminished sound. One of the best things about that chord is that it is a symmetrical chord, meaning that the interval between each chord tone is the same. It's a minor third. That allows you to find inversions every minor third. And you can play the arpeggio just following minor thirds. You can play those voices every minor third, and you find the inversions, etc. It gets even more interesting when we look at the diminished scale. The diminished scale, you can look at it as you have your chord tones, root, flat 3, flat 5, double flat 7. Approach each chord tone from a step below, from a half step below, and you get the sound of the diminished scale. So you start with the root, and then start approaching each chord tone from a half step below, and you get the sound. Right? So it's full of that diminished quality. Really interesting sound. Very usable. A lot of people use it. It's awesome. Nothing wrong with that. It gets even more interesting when we take that 8-note scale and start creating weird things inside it. For example, we could create chords. We could take notes inside the scale and try to build some triads. So, for example, if I have this, I can see that, okay, from this, I'm seeing a minor third, right? That is in the scale, it's one of the scale notes. And I see this note. And then when I put these 3 notes together, I see an A minor triad. Okay? So, something that it wasn't obvious at first, just playing the scale. Now, when you look at it closely and try to build these interesting sounds, you find these triads, A minor within the G diminished scale. And here's where it gets really cool too. We can take that triad and move it in minor thirds, right? To find the inversions of that diminished quality. And again, we're just taking that symmetrical quality of the chord and applying it to the triad. And again, really interesting sounds you can find. You can build lines with that. And it sounds pretty cool. The important thing with diminished, which is the main point of this video that I kind of want to get across, is to try to not be obvious with the diminished chord. The diminished chord, because it has that symmetrical minor third quality, a lot of people then start playing patterns. Stuff like, and it sounds cool, don't get me wrong, it's fine. If you like it, do it. Herbie Hancock does it. Coltrane does it. These masters, they're, if you analyze their playing, you're going to find a lot of diminished, interesting stuff in it. And it's not just in the form of chords being repeated in minor thirds. You can find really cool intervals, like that kind of thing. Patterns like that, sequences. You can do a lot with that 8-note scale and try to find interesting sounds that don't sound so obvious. But I think the problem is really with the obvious thing. When it's too obvious, that kind of thing, in my opinion, you have a responsibility to make it sound good as a guitar player. The problem with the guitar, comparing it to the piano, like when Herbie does it, or Coltrane, for example, is that the design of the instruments is different. The way the piano is designed kind of lends itself more to that thing where, like, if you did this on the piano, it goes more with gravity in a way. Like you have your hands like this, and it just sounds better. If you play it with great articulation, great rhythm, and you mix it with lines in a musical way, it can be really good. Like Herbie does it, right? Herbie loves that diminished stuff. Or Coltrane. Again, different design. But the guitar makes things sound really obvious. The weird design of the instrument, right? Different strings, different thickness, just the way your hand is like this and another like this, and they're doing complete different things. It makes things sound really, really obvious. With the diminished stuff, if you're using that pattern, idea stuff. So yes, that is the danger of the diminished stuff. It sounds way too obvious, and it's your responsibility again as a musician and guitar player to not make it sound so obvious. Not make it sound like you just studied the diminished scale and you are plugging this lick into the tune you're playing. So I want to show you a not so obvious but really musical approach that diminished can show you, that the diminished chord can teach you. Let's take the tune Embraceable You, which starts, it's an E flat, and then it goes to this chord, right, which is a G flat diminished 7 chord, right, with a flat 13 on top, and then it goes to F minor. So you could take that and be like, okay, and it's cool. Like, again, I don't have a problem with the diminished scale and that stuff. It's cool. But you're kind of ignoring what the chord is showing you. Check this out. When I play that chord and I take the bass off, I see this chord right here, which is E flat, A, and D. That chord, to me, is E flat, major 7, flat 5. I made a video talking about this chord, which a lot of people love to call major 7 sharp 11, whatever you want to call it, right? So it's that structure that I was talking about in that video. That's what that chord is teaching me, and that what the tune is teaching me. And voice leads to F minor. The chord is teaching you the voice lead into F minor too. Those notes move by step here. So you gotta play of what the diminished chord is teaching you here. And it is a major sound, a major 7 flat 5 sound. So when that chord comes around, we were in E flat, right? So if I know how to play around E flat major 7 flat 5, which in my major 7 flat 5 video, I showed what I call zones that you can practice to get those notes. And we're coming from an E flat major, right? Which I see as C minor or G minor. And for this chord, G flat diminished, we're going to play E flat major 2, E flat major 7 flat 5. So virtually you're just not moving from this voicing to this one. You don't have to chase the scale or a pattern. Whatever. You can just play off the notes of E flat. I'm playing over E flat major 7 flat 5 with that bass note. Etc. So the diminished chord is teaching you G flat major 7 flat 5. Let's say you have another example, like you have G major and then classic move where you have 1 major and then sharp 1 diminish. So G sharp diminish. Take the bass off, you get this chord. So I'm playing F major 7 flat 5 over G sharp diminish. So from this chord, etc. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that the chord is teaching you one of the best sounding things you can play over the diminished chord, and one of the most effortless things you can play over the diminished chord. And it teaches you voice leading, not to chase something that you don't even know where it is yet, and something that is extremely disconnected from the chord, from the music, you know? Okay? So, another cool thing that you can do with that is you can apply the symmetrical quality to it as well. E flat, major 7 flat 5. Then up on minor third, you can find those sounds. So if you practice that, you know. So there I played the inversion that is right here. So A, major 7 flat 5 over this chord. So okay. So anyway, you know, you can get experimental, do the minor third thing, and play major 2. It's fine. This sound is interchangeable. And the farther you get away from the root, from that fundamental, we hear things more as effects, right? We're not really in it so much. It's like, well, but that you'll be playing a major third there. Doesn't matter. You're far from the roots. So the fundamental loses that power of, you know, for the brain to recognize it as dissonance. And it's more of an effect. So if you want to play major 7, pure major 7, over the diminished, you can do it too. Wes does it all the time. Anyway, you can branch, you know, from there too. What else is E flat major 7 flat 5? It would be a minor chord too, like C minor, the relative minor, and use it in that way. So don't miss the most important thing diminished has to teach you, which is, you know, when you play this voicing, which is the classic diminished voicing, there's a major chord to be looked at there and play off, and voice lead to the other chords effortlessly without playing the obvious stuff. The reason you like music is because it's not obvious. And diminish, when you play diminish in that way, you have to understand you're making things obvious. Very obvious. It doesn't sound good, in my opinion. So find a way to make it sound good, or learn how to not be obvious by learning from chords in this way. Anyway, that's it for this lesson. Check out my website for lesson materials and other videos. And subscribe and like. And I'll see you guys on the next one.